Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today I am here to talk about why 1982 just might be the best year in movie history. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. All right, so I am back with another in my series that is ongoing here of the best years in movie history. When I get to the top 12 or 15 over time, then we're going to rank all of the years against each other. But when it is the individual year that I have chosen through research and releases and all kinds of factors, I take a look at my personal top 25 movies within that year and rank those for here because lists are fun, and I want to share with you what I like from those years. But it's the individual year list isn't as important, the top 25, as when we get to the end and I get all like 12 or 15 years that I pick and then rank those years overall. That's going to be the ultimate like overall list. But within each year, there is a lot of great movies, so I like to take a look at them and rank them. And I'm going to be honest with you, from 1982, there's a lot of great films. And I have like most of my top half. And while I enjoy and really like the films in the bottom half of this list, I don't have a lot of them on physical media anymore. Most of you who follow me know that I used to have tons of movies on VHS. I was a big VHS collector going all the way back to the 80s. And I was years ago convinced to get rid of those. And so I only have a handful left. And now that I have come back to collecting, I am really in the mindset of curating my collection by looking for only like the best versions of each film. So I'm not just going to run out here and collect and accumulate titles. So some of these may take me a long time to replenish and get back because I am waiting for the best. I'm patient when it comes to that. I'm not just going to run out here and grab a Blu-ray now or a DVD now and then double dip later. Some things I'll double and triple dip on for sure, but I want the best version, so I'm not just going to go grab a DVD to have it right now or a Blu-ray just to have it right now. So that's why I don't have some of these. And some of these they do have great versions out. I just haven't purchased them yet. I got a lot of that I've been buying, and you can find my wish list and what I'm targeting, all the links to that down here in the description, because I have a lot that I'm looking for. But we're going to go through this list pretty quick and just have some fun with it. And I'm going to start off at number 25 with two films that I don't have and that share the bottom spot because I just couldn't split one of these out of my top 25. And most of you are already going to be shocked that both of these films are this low, but I've just never loved either one of these as much as everybody else. I'm talking about both Tron and Tenebrae. Now, I know, hear me like, why Tron is that low? Tenebrae is that low? I am, like a lot of you that follow me know that I'm not like the biggest, Italian horror fan. I love demons, and there's certain giallos that I absolutely love. But some of the others have just never, in Phenomenon, which was Creepers, right, when it first came out. And those are great movies, and I enjoy them. But a lot of that stuff is just not as high for me as it has been for other people. And the same thing with Tron. It's a good movie, but it's just never one that I was into as much. So Tron, it's about getting sent into a digitized world, a video game. They've done a sequel. They have a ride built on this at Disney World now, and a whole experience that you can go through that is super cool. And then Tenebrae is, one of Argento's classics. And I know there's a beautiful set out for it of a 4K release at a couple different places. So definitely will add those to my collection, but they're just not ones for me that are as high. So, but they do belong in the top 25, no matter how you slice it. Next up at number 24 is Amityville 2, The Possession. Now, I am in the market to try to get all the Amityville movies. I really enjoy them. I love haunted house movies. This one's kind of twisted a little bit with a dysfunctional family that moves into the house, and there's kind of this weird relationship between the brother and the sister. Burt Young from, Polly from Rocky is in this movie. I think it's actually a good, twisted, dark follow-up sequel to the original Amityville Horror. Now, this one doesn't have any true story elements to it at all, but I still like. I mean, it's a haunted house movie. It's Amityville. It has that vibe. So for me, it comes in at number 24 on the list. Number 23 on the list is another classic that I know has a 4K out there, I believe from Scream Factory, and I just haven't picked it up yet, but I definitely will. I am talking about Slumber Party Massacre. I mean, it's like an iconic 80s slasher, and man, the cover on that thing is very suggestive in so many ways. But I always enjoy the Slumber Party Massacre. Part 2, not so much, but part 1 is a lot of fun. It is that 80s style slasher vein, and you have the drill, and it's just, I mean, it is very suggestive. That cover, I laugh all the time, and I'm sitting here. The reason I'm kind of laughing is I'm sitting here looking at it now because I have my list over here where I'm making you guys the video. And you got the girls in the background, and they're there in like their underwear, and the guy's legs are spread, and you have the drill that's hanging down between his legs. I mean, it's super suggestive. The movie's fun. It's the classic story. The slumber party turns into a bloodbath because there's an escaped, he's a serial killer. And he has the drill and all that. And it's just a fun 80s slasher. So Slumber Party Massacre comes in at number 23. Next up on my list, coming in at 22, we go away from the horror and we go for The Last American Virgin. Now, this is about a pizza delivery boy, that's pizza delivery boy and loudmouth friend of his, and the guy that's kind of like supposed to be like the hunk or whatever. And it's a classic story of like 3 high school students trying to lose their virginity. Very American Pie, with their pact to lose their virginity. And they're trying to do it any way they can. But of course, one of them falls in love. And, there's this kind of 3-way kind of argument because the girl kind of gets involved with another one. So it's that classic sort of lose your virginity type comedy there. And The Last American Virgin, to me, it's very in that way, it's American Pie before American Pie. I mean, because American Pie is like a pact to lose your virginity in any way you can. And The Last American Virgin, they set out to lose their virginity any way they can. So similar, definitely on my list of 80s movies, coming in at number 22. At 21 is one that does have a 4K scan out right now, and I'm shopping for it. There are actually 2 artwork cover versions of this. I'm talking about Basket Case. There is a 4K release from Arrow, and while one is readily available, you've seen it everywhere. It looks like the basket. They have a variant cover, slip cover, that is the old VHS artwork, and that's the one I'm waiting to get. That's the one I'm after, so I'm not pulling the trigger on the the more widely available one. But Basket Case is crazy. It's Frank Henenlotter, and it's the story of the twin that was cut from the Siamese twins. They were separated, and he's being carried around in a basket and loves to eat Big Macs and kill people. And his other twin is trying to hide, even if he's going out on a date with a girl, he's trying to hide. I mean, movie's crazy. actually, I found out recently that if not for Joe Bob Briggs, this movie may never have made it as far as it did. It's because he wrote a review on it and pushed for it to get shown more widely, that the movie got exposed the way it did. To otherwise it was going to be DOA. So you can check out, actually, you could probably find that online. Joe Bob tells that story, but I was like, wow, I didn't know that. But Basket Case, I remember watching this when I was much younger. And when you see the little, it's like the stop motion or clay, like almost claymation. It always reminded me, the way he moved was like similar in my mind to like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like stuff. But it's a fun, like ridiculous movie. Frank Henenlotter is like out there, man. But Basket Case comes in at number 21. And coming in at number 20, cracking the top 20 is another horror movie. There's definitely there's horror. This is a horror heavy list. I didn't really pay attention to that, but it's like a horror and comedy, but makes sense because it's the 80s. I'm talking about The House on Sorority Row. And so you're having sorority girls and slumber party girls, that whole vibe, very heavy. And it's one that kind of ahead of its time, maybe in a little bit. Like, I remember watching a documentary on this not long ago, and I believe it was brought up and talked about in the In Search of Darkness documentary, which I was a producer on, like in donation. So, because I was really trying to support that. And the cast is really pretty good in this movie. Like, the performances are really good. And it starts out, it's like a prank that goes wrong. And then the sorority sisters are stalked by a murderer. And one by one, they are like picked off. And it's while they're throwing a party to celebrate graduation. So you have that whole sorority college party atmosphere mixed with a slasher and kind of a little bit of like who is doing the killing. And if you look at the cover, I'm sitting here looking at the cover right now. If you look at the cover, it maybe makes it seem a little sexier, but there's some kills in this that go for it. This movie was kind of ahead of its time, in my opinion. And that's why for me, it goes a little bit ahead of Slumber Party Massacre, but there, I kind of get the same vibes when I watch both movies. So The House on Sorority Row comes in at number 20 on my list. All right, into the top 20, we are at 19, and we are going with Night Shift. This is about a guy who is like a morgue attendant, and he works the late night shift, and his new coworker and his prostitute neighbor convince him to like have run a prostitution ring out of the morgue. And I remember like when I thought like my brother rented this and like we were kids, and I was like, I thought this was going to be a horror movie, and not so much. No, but definitely a wild premise and a fun kind of 80s classic. The Night Shift comes in at number 19. Coming in at number 18 is one that like I have in here somewhere. Like if I turn this camera around, you guys, there's so much influx as I'm trying to get this room ready and reorganized to contain all this physical media and set up and everything else. But it's here somewhere. I'm talking about Zapped. And if you haven't seen this, this is where a high school, like he's like a nerd and he gets telekinetic activities after like he gets zapped in a laboratory accident, and he uses his power to get revenge on bullies. And of course, you've probably seen that iconic cover where he's making the girl's skirt blow up to take a look up under it. It's a fun 80s movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I know my buddy Brian at the last movie standing was mentioning that either he didn't have this or he'd never seen it before. And it's definitely one worth checking out. It comes in at number 18 for me. Uh, at number 17 is a Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton movie, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which is a hell of a title for a movie. But Burt Reynolds plays a sheriff who also goes to this whorehouse frequently. And in a turn of events, he is trying to help keep the whorehouse open because like a news reporter has gotten a hold to it and is like broadcasting it and running with a story that it's like the house of the devil and it's evil and sin and all this. And so you got Burt Reynolds as the damn sheriff who goes to the whorehouse all the time trying to keep the whorehouse open. You got Burt Reynolds, you got Dolly Parton, you got a crazy fun premise. You can't go wrong with The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. All right, coming in at, where do we go? At number 16 is one that takes a way more serious tone. And I think this is a super underrated horror movie. And I know Scream Factory has a Blu-ray of this right now. And I've kind of held off because I'm hoping a 4K comes. And I'm also looking for the Blu-ray with a slip cover, which means I'd have to go aftermarket. And I'm talking about Barbara Hershey starring in The Entity. A lot of people don't know this movie is based on a true story where there's like whole documented video evidence of what is happening. And this is a woman who is basically getting sexually assaulted by an entity, a poltergeist, a incubus or whatever. She is being sexually assaulted by this entity. And she's seeking help all over the place. They have people watch her, and like in real life, there's like documented footage where you can see this woman like basically being attacked. And that's crazy. I think a lot of people don't know that this was inspired by a true story. And I saw how they made the movie because like you see Barbara Hershey is like stripped nude several times, and like you see her breasts being fondled by something you can't see. And like I learned how they did that with like really highly concentrated compressed air to like dimple her boobs in so that it looked like something was squeezing them. It's got great practical effects in it too. And just a really like pretty powerful and creepy story. And like this woman moved from place to place trying to get away from it. And, it was basically following her. And it's definitely a good movie. I haven't seen it in a while. Definitely one to pick up and check out. The Entity comes in at 16. And that heads us into our top 15. And now I'm going to start to have a few more of these, including my entry at number 15. I am talking about Friday the 13th, part 3, Friday the 13th 3D. Of course, I have the big Scream Factory set, and this one has a 4K scan of the original film and transfer. I pretty much like every Friday the 13th movie. And I like A New Dimension in Terror. And this one's no different. There's no way that there's going to be a year with a Friday the 13th release that doesn't make my top 25 for the year. And this pack is loaded from Scream Factory, and great set. And what can you say? It's Friday the 13th, part 3. It has to be on your list. Comes in at number 15. At number 14 is a Richard Gere movie that is friggin' awesome, super underrated. An Officer and a Gentleman. This also stars Lou Gossett Jr. and it's either David Keith or Keith David. I do it every time. But this has that iconic scene where at the very end, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, it's 40 years old. No, I'm trying not to spoiler, but come on. Where Richard Gere walks in and picks up the girl out of the factory where she's working or whatever and hoists her up, and he's in his uniform and she takes his officer, the hat off and puts it on her head, and they walk out. Great performances in this by Lou Gossett Jr. and Richard Gere. Really, really good movie. I love Officer and a Gentleman. It comes in at number 14. At number 13 on the list is, I believe this is a Walter Hill movie, and it's Eddie Murphy. It's Nick Nolte. It's 48 Hours. Come on. you can't, it is classic. 48 hours. I mean, it could be higher. You could argue that it's going to be higher, or should be higher. Eddie Murphy doing his thing in the 80s in comedy and action, that when he was Raw, Eddie Murphy Raw, and 48 Hours, man, that scene where he's, both movies are good. And I always think of the scene where he's in there in like a honky tonk and he takes the guy's cowboy hat, puts it on, he's got his toothpick and everything else. I mean, Eddie Murphy doing Eddie Murphy shit is absolutely awesome. So 48 Hours, him and Nick Nolte together, the buddy cop thing that goes on there. Oh my God, so good. Comes in at number 13. At number 12 is one that I searched for like an hour to find in here in all my stacks and mess and everything, because I definitely have this movie because I'm a massive Harrison Ford fan. And I am talking about Blade Runner. If you haven't seen Blade Runner, you know, he has to go and a Blade Runner has to like stop or kill these 4 replicants. I mean, it's like, there's obviously the sequel, but Blade Runner, iconic sci-fi film, action film. It has to be on the list. It's another one that could be higher, but for me, like, I mean, I enjoy Blade Runner, but they're like, I start putting it against other Harrison Ford films, and I'm such a massive Indiana Jones fan that, and Star Wars, obviously Han Solo, that Blade Runner is always like, I think about it later. And, but I mean, there's no denying it's a classic, and, it's one of those that has to be on the list and definitely adds a lot of weight to the 1982 as a year. It comes in at number 12 for me. All right. Coming in at number 11 on my list. Man, one of the most powerful quotes I think of when I think of Star Trek, and this is Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, but one of the most powerful moments ever is Spock looking at Kirk and saying, "I have been and shall always be your friend." Like, man, dude, like, come on. Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, arguably the best Star Trek movie. There's a couple of 4K options and sets out there. I got to decide what I want to get. Do I want to get all the movies, or do I just want to get them individually? And Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan would be one, like, first target to buy. I'm a huge fan of the original TV series. I have it all on Blu-ray. I don't know if there's a 4K of the whole series yet, but man, I am such a fan of the original series. But Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, that is such a good movie and maybe the best of the franchise. And it definitely adds a ton of weight to 1982. And like now all I can do is picture that scene. Like anytime somebody says Star Trek, that's the first thing that I think of. It doesn't matter what movie we're talking about. Like, I shall always be your friend. Like, oh, geez, Louise, man. So sad too. So powerful. But Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan comes in at number 11. At number 10, for some of you might be surprised to see one this high, but for me, I've told the story about this movie a lot, and what my dad get me to watch it so much means a lot to me. I love the Vinegar Syndrome VSU of the Beastmaster. Rip Torn in this movie, just absolutely evil. The way that they work with animals in this movie is so crazy, insane. Mark Singer in this. Listen, this movie is Don Coscarelli, like weird thinking, all put to good use, mixed with some Conan and a period piece. The Beastmaster, just an iconic 80s film. Fantastic on this Vinegar Syndrome 4K. Comes in kicking off my top 10. The Beastmaster. This set, and I had to way overpay because I missed this out when it came out, and I don't regret it one bit. This meant a lot to my dad and me together, and so for me, with nostalgic ties, it comes in a bit higher than maybe for some people at number 10. All right, at number 9 is a classic a classic. I am talking about Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Now, this is one of those that I already had on DVD, and I almost didn't buy the Criterion Blu-ray because I just feel like there'll be a 4K coming, because this is from a 4K transfer right here. But I just went ahead and bought the Bullet. I mean, it was like half off, so I got it for under $20. And this is an absolute classic. Of course, everybody immediately thinks about the Phoebe Cates scene where she gets out of the pool and drops her top. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in this movie. Judge Reinhold is in this movie. You have, of course, Sean Penn in this movie. You have Forrest Whitaker in this movie. You have literally everybody in this movie. And, oh, Mr. Han. I mean, it's a classic film. You even have Anthony Edwards and I almost said George Clooney. Nicolas Cage doing cameo, like little parts in this movie. This movie is just loaded. And, I mean, it's sort of like the coming of age high school movie. I struggle with whether this is like a raunchy comedy or more of a true like coming of age thing. Definitely is full of comedy elements. But Amy Heckerling, this film is, and she had a reputation herself of in Hollywood of not being afraid to be raunchy too. So lots of fun. Definitely a classic. I see why Criterion has it, and it has to be in your top 10. For me, it comes in here at number 9. All right, at number 8 is one some of you are probably going to be surprised is not higher too, but you know, I just never had as much love for this movie as a kid as other people did, and I am talking about E.T. I am a massive Spielberg fan. And like I should have been like prime age for this, especially by the time it hit movie rental stores, like or movie rental places. It should have been like right in my wheelhouse, but I never was quite there on it like everyone else was. But I do love the movie. It just doesn't maybe come in as high for me as it does for everyone else. But comes in at number 8, E.T. Phone Home. There you are. All right, coming in at number 7 is Rocky 3. I mean, this one you could argue is higher, should be higher. Got the eye of the tiger. It's that thrill of the fight. He fights Mr. T. He fights Hulk Hogan, aka Thunder Lips at the beginning. Just an amazing, like pure 80s. I mean, Rocky 3 is pure 80s. I hate that they kill Mick in the movie. Like every it's like 3 and 4. Like we got to start like even with 2. Like Adrian goes into a coma. It's like we got to have something all the time that is, we got to have something. My phone keeps going off. We got to have something all the time in the movies, whether it's her in a coma, whether it's Mick dying, whether it's Apollo Creed dying, that kind of brings down the tone a little bit. And then in 5, he loses all of his money. But this one before that part is pure 80s, and I love it. All right, coming in at number 6 is a Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg mix, and I am talking about Poltergeist. I got this cool, awesome box set or slip box from Blockbuster Box Sets for the 4K Steelbook here. And Poltergeist, they're here. Classic haunted house movie. I told you I love haunted house movies. This movie was kind of cursed though for the cast in a lot of different ways, but I absolutely love Poltergeist. It has to be on the list, definitely right there, just outside the top 5, coming in at number 6 for 1982. All right. Coming in at number 5 is a movie that I've grown to love more and more over the years. I've talked about it on several videos. I'm talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, with this amazing artwork. I think this is the best artwork on the boxes of the Scream Factory series they did on 4Ks. And I always think now forever of The Fuzz, talking about Tom Atkins slinging some dick around. He definitely does. This movie also made my top 10 creepy small town atmosphere vibe horror movies that I love so much. Very atmospheric. small town. It's not a Michael Myers movie, so that threw people off at the time, including myself. But I have grown to love Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and it comes in at number 5 for me on this list in 1982. Coming in at number 4 is another classic, Creepshow. This is another cool ass slip box that I got from Blockbuster Box Sets to house my 4K steelbook of Creepshow. Now I also have the cool Blu-ray from Scream Factory, but I wanted to pull out something different this time. Creepshow, I mean, it inspired the hell out of me. Classic anthology. Having my horror anthology creature feature being compared to this by like Dread Central is like one of the highlights of my filmmaking career. I mean, of course, we had a tiny, tiny fraction of budget of this, but man, it definitely inspired me. I love Creepshow. It is still talked about all the time as horror anthology royalty. You've got Stephen King. I mean, George Romero. Everything that you want is available in Creepshow, and it has to be at the top, close to the top of the list, coming in at number 4. All right, coming in at number 3 is another one that I've talked about because I think this is one of the best 4K restorations of this year. One of my favorite movies from an iconic actor, just movie star who has been a role model to me in so many ways throughout my life. And this is Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, you could argue that this could be number 1. Like I could make an argument this could be 1. It comes in at 3. And actually it was back and forth with 3 and 2. They were interchangeable with me. 2 of my favorite superstars of all time are in parts 2 are in number 2 and number 3 here. But this 4K from Arrow is phenomenal. I got the whole box set over here. I took it out of the box set because I've showed off the box set a few times. But Conan the Barbarian, sword and sandal epic here. Dino De Laurentiis producing this thing, and John Milius writing, directing, and Arnold in his heyday starring, or at the beginning of his heyday. You cannot go wrong with Conan the Barbarian. Phenomenal. Grab this 4K. If you can't get the box set like on eBay or something, get the 4K anyway while you can. Cannot recommend it enough. It adds a absolute ton of weight to 1982. All right, we are at our final 2, and coming in at 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time by another one of my favorite superstar actors of all time. I just absolutely love Sylvester Stallone and Rambo First Blood, and this 4K is awesome. And people, you talk about people automatically they remember the Rambos after this, but First Blood Rambo Part 1 is way more of a drama, and the whole scene at the end where he's dealing with PTSD and he just breaks down is some of the best acting that you will find from anybody, not just Sylvester Stallone, who has, by the way, been nominated for actors for Academy Awards and Golden Globes for his acting and writing. That's talent. But by anyone, that scene is absolutely epic at the end. Rambo First Blood and this 4K is amazing. I never get tired of watching this movie. It's a movie that I've seen hundreds of times in my life. I mean, massive feather in the cap of 1982 is Rambo First Blood. And that brings us to number 1. And if you've seen my stuff lately, you will have no question what number 1 is. I think it may be the best 4K released. It's a movie that I skipped over for a lot of my life. I just never gave it enough attention. I let Negative hype train as a kid and just not sitting down to watch it with my dad like other films because of that. I don't know, because I'm a massive Kurt Russell fan. I'm a massive John Carpenter fan, though I got to be more and more of a Carpenter fan as I got older and got into filmmaking and stuff myself. I'm talking number 1 is The Thing. I mean, this movie on 4K, I mean, it's a movie that I basically, like I said, I didn't give much attention to until just a few months ago, and it has rocketed. Like, I hadn't even watched it again on 4K. I've only had my channel a couple of months, and I did a top 25 of my favorite movies of all time. It wasn't even in the top 25. I hadn't rewatched it at that point, and it's like changed my life on it. How much I love this movie now after watching it again, and as a mid 40s adult, and on this 4K and watching it just with new eyes. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal, and this 4K is one of the best ever. And I mean, I just absolutely love this movie. And everybody's like, well, it flopped because of E.T. And in 1982. That's not the only reason it flopped. It wasn't pushed out right. Definitely that had a part to do with it. But how this movie flopped is just one of those that blows my mind. And you'll find it on my 10 great movies that flopped list video. But I absolutely love The Thing. It adds a ton to 1982, and that is my list. 1982, definitely a contender. If I had to really think about it, I would still say that 1984 or 85 is maybe edging out, but we'll see at the end how it all shakes out. You guys let me know in the comments, what do you think? What movies did I not put in? How would you rank them? What should I have taken out, putting in? Let me know. This is just my list. It doesn't have to match yours. That's what's great about movies. But in the end, we're going to take a subjective and an objective look at the years and see what we have and rank those out. But this is my top 25 for 1982. Let me know what you think. If you guys enjoyed this and other content, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help out the channel. Consider joining the channel. Down below, you can follow the links to join here or on my Patreon. I can do a little bit more on Patreon than on YouTube, but it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same kind of perks. You're going to get to get your name on here, shout outs, all kinds of stuff, behind the scenes stuff. I'm uploading all the time, as much as I can, with my filmmaking stuff, with all kinds of things. And you don't have to do any of that, though, to be a part of this pop culture friends and family. Just like, subscribe, ring that bell, and spread the word. I really do appreciate it. It helps me out so much. And until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. I know.